Hi YouTube, my name is Kiara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share how I curate a physical media music collection without cluttering my physical space. Say that 3 times fast. 2 reasons why I collect physical media music. The first is ownership. Duh, like I don't want to be streaming music forever. At some point I am gonna get off the app. And when that day comes, I still want to have access to the music that I love. The second reason that I like to collect is because I enjoy what I call curating a sonic vibe in my home. So let's say I'm gonna cook dinner, I want to listen to music. I determine what mood I'm in, go pick out a vinyl that matches that, put it on the turntable, and you just go from there. I think that whole experience is really beautiful. It's kind of soothing. And the same thing can happen if you have a CD player, of course. Right now, I'm prioritizing vinyl because I have a record player and I don't have a CD player yet. But later on, we'll chat about when I think a CD purchase makes sense for me. Once you decide to step into the room of physical media music owners who live in a small space or only have a small space to dedicate to this hobby, you will realize that you have to be incredibly discerning. This thing, this vinyl, this CD, this cassette tape that you want is coming to your house to live with you. And you have to want it to be there for the foreseeable future. I'm in the physical ownership game for the artists that I love. If it's just an artist that I like, but I don't need to own, I'll just stream them until I can snag the digital version. I have one spot where I keep all of my vinyl, so anything new that comes has to fit there, or I can't have it. And I have like a pretty good amount of space right now, but obviously that could be filled up very quickly, very easily. So I really am careful with who I invite to live in that space. So let's talk about what helps me determine whether or not to make a new purchase. I'm talking about like an album that's just come out. For me, it's about math. I have to like one more than 50% of what's on the album. That means if an album has 10 songs, 5 obviously is 50% of 10. So if an album has 10 songs, I would have to like minimum 6 of them in order for me to make that purchase. If an album has 10 songs and I love 4 of the songs, I love them down, I can't live without them, I'm still not gonna buy the vinyl because mathematically it just doesn't work out. People say you can skip a song on a vinyl, and technically you can, right? Just pick up the needle and move it. If you have a CD player, just press the skip button. But it doesn't make sense for me to have it taking up space in my house if I like less than 50% of what's on it. Like at that point, I'll just get it digitally and live with that. And maybe this is controversial, but needless to say, with the math that I do, I don't buy albums without hearing them first anymore. If somebody's having a pre-sale, I'll still go to the website, I'll still click around and see what the vibe is, but I am not typing in my card numbers until I've heard that album front to back. Cause I'm just not sure. Don't get caught up in a pre-sale. I've been that person before that gets caught up in the pre-sale and I regretted it. Don't let it happen. Now, you might disagree with me on this one, but I do not collect single vinyls / 45s. Especially if it's a song where I already have the full album or I feel like I'm leaning towards getting the full album. Like I don't need both, I don't have space for both. Even if I was really tempted, which I have yet to be over a single vinyl, at the end of the day, I'm just not gonna wanna get up to change a 45 like 3 minutes after I sat down. And maybe that's just lazy, but to me, a 45 that only has one song on one side, who is that for? I put the song on the turntable, I drop the needle. By the time that I'm already turning my back to the record player, the song is probably like half over. Like, for me, it's just illogical to have them. Sometimes people will say like, oh, but there's an instrumental version on the back, or oh, like there's a different alternative version of the single on the back. That's not really shaking the table for me, so I leave it where it is. This one can be difficult, but I only buy one variant per album, no matter what. And I will pick whatever color speaks to me, whatever color that I think most represents the vibe of the album itself, and that's where I leave it. I don't know how long this has been an issue in the record collecting community because I only got here several years ago, but I do not like what's happening with all of the different variants. I think that variants can be cute. I think they can be fun. I think they can also be public enemy number one, because this is gonna be a little bit of a rant. Why are you releasing 15,000 versions of the same album? Why are you doing that? I think it's okay if an artist is like, let's do one for my personal storefront. Let's do different ones at like these 2 or 3 major retailers. Let's do one for Record Store Day. Cute, couple options, okay. But then it's like, oh, I released another one because it's Tuesday. Oh, I released another one because I had pizza last night. It's like, I wish they would at least tell us like there's going to be 18 different versions of this album. Because then at least if the first 5 come out and you don't vibe with any of them, you know, okay, there's another one coming that maybe like I'll be into. As opposed to you feeling cornered, like you have to get one. And then 2 weeks later they release one that's like everything you ever wanted. And you're like, okay, well, I only have space for one and I already bought the one I was gonna get. Like it just, nobody leaves that situation feeling good. And I've been in a situation before where I have felt rushed and I bought a variant of an album because I thought that like, oh, I need to get this now. And then they ended up releasing a version that I was like, this is so much more evocative of what the album feels like. Now I'm pissed. Thank God I was able to sell one, but I just like never want to put myself in that situation ever again. So I like to just wait. This is another reason why I think it can be good to not just get caught up in a pre-sale, because the odds that they're going to release another version that you might like better are quite high, and then you'll be happy that you waited. I know that some people like get scared that they love whatever version has come out today, and they're like, if I don't get it now, it's going to sell out and I can never get access to it again. That's kind of true, unless you want to pay major crazy resale prices. However, I've decided to just let that go. I try not to participate in like the fear mongering over not being able to get this exact item. Does the other version still have the same music on it? Yeah. Yeah. And I have to give a little bit of love to black vinyl. Like, I think that it's really easy to get caught up in all the different colors, and now there's ones that have like liquid inside them and powder inside them and all manner of designs. But at the end of the day, you're probably not gonna be looking at the record while it's spinning. Like, you know, like it looks cool, but you're probably gonna put it down and then turn around and do something else. So try not to let that like bother you deep in your soul. So let's talk about what determines an old but new purchase. For me, the thing that is most useful is I still use streaming at the moment, and I have one humongous playlist simply called All that holds the music of all of my other playlists. It effectively acts as a library. It allows me to see at a glance which albums from which artists I've saved the most songs from, and from that information I can make a list. So when I go to a record store, if I happen to see that album, I already know. I don't have to think about it. Yes, I love the majority of the songs on this album. Yes, I've loved them for years. Yes, I want this in my collection. It's coming home with me. And that makes life really easy. For me, there are 3 instances when it makes sense for me to have the vinyl and the CD of something. The first is when I've bought the original and then the artist drops a deluxe and I happen to love the majority of the songs that are on the deluxe version as well. like Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. I sat and waited because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get the original cover or the alternate cover. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get the original. A few weeks later, she releases the deluxe. I felt like an idiot. The deluxe was released and I liked the deluxe songs. So in that case, I was like, you know what? I feel fine. I feel comfortable about just getting the CD as well, because I know that this is something that I love through and through, and I'm happy for it to take up space in my home. The second instance where I've gotten the vinyl and the CD is when the CD has like a completely different version of the album. So for Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia, another album that I loved pretty much front to back, I had purchased the vinyl and she had dropped a club remix version of the entire album, and I love a club remix. And I was like, I kind of need that, want that. So I was so happy to see that she had released a double CD where the original CD is in the front and then the club remix CD is in the back, and that was perfect for me. The third instance where I might buy a CD when I already have the vinyl is when an artist is my bread and butter. I love them, I love the music, I've sat with the album, maybe I went to go see them live or something. That is when I will get the CD. I'm sort of doing this less and less though, because if it's an album that I love from an artist that I love to the point where I know I'm gonna get the vinyl, I know I'm gonna listen to the vinyl at home, and I know I'm gonna listen to the album on streaming currently. So I don't feel a desire to run out and get the CD immediately if it's just the normal CD that matches the vinyl, because I know that I can always get a CD later. And I also still don't have a CD player. So all I could do is put it in my CD drive and, play it on my laptop. And at that point, I'll just stream it. But I also know if I change my mind in the future, the CD is probably going to be easier to get later versus the vinyl. And the CD at that point will probably have gone on sale too. So having the vinyl, listening to it on streaming right now works for me. Something that I'm thinking about for the future that you might want to consider too is if there are artists that you like a lot of their more popular songs, but you're not necessarily someone who's going to listen to their deep cuts, try and see if they have any sort of greatest hits compilations, because those are great because you get all the music that you're into in one spot and the album's only taking up one spot in your collection, versus having all these records that are taking up space in your house when you really only want to listen to the top 2 or 3 songs on the album. Last thing I'm gonna leave you with is a little bit of a hot take. I don't think that you need to have a record player or a CD player or a cassette player before you start collecting. I probably had 20 vinyl before I ever got my record player, and it was absolutely fine because it was my intention to get one at some point, and I had already identified the things that I wanted to start my collection with. So if you've just started collecting your CDs, your cassettes, your records, don't let anybody make you feel bad, because you have a plan and you're gonna stick to it, and if you're smart about the things that you're collecting, they're not gonna take up too much space, hopefully. I also think this is a reason why some people do CDs over vinyl, is because of course a CD player is going to take up less space. CDs themselves are going to take up less space. CDs are also, in my opinion, a little hardier than a vinyl. I baby my records. I don't really baby my CDs as much, but I think it's important to remember that even if you had unlimited space, you still wouldn't pick up every single album ever, because if you're just picking up stuff to pick it up, that's not a collection, that's just a hoard. The more that you use your judgment as you're curating your collection, the better you will feel about it at the end of the day. Because for me, when I look at my collection, I'm like, wow, everything here was picked with love. Everything here has a thought process behind it. Everything here plays a part in being a reflection of me and my tastes, and I just feel really good about that. And I know looking at this, nothing is mid. Nothing is I don't love it, but there's none of that. And it takes time to do that. But that's the good thing about it, right? This is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be you developing your taste and figuring things out and letting it ride. So use your space wisely, be smart, and enjoy the music. As always, I hope you have an amazing rest of today and a wonderful tomorrow. Bye, YouTube.